ahead and outline some of the rules here about the webinar here. So before we dive into the heart of our discussion, I'd like to walk you through how team webinars here will work and lay out a few of the guidelines to ensure a smooth and enjoyable experience for all. Number one, the audio and video settings. As you noticed upon joining, your microphones are muted and the cameras are off. This helps us minimize the background noise and any interruptions that may present itself. We encourage you to keep those settings throughout the webinar unless prompted during the Q&A session. Interactions during the webinar, we highly value your participation. And if you have any questions during the presentation, please use our chat feature. You can type in your questions and our moderators will keep track of those for the Q&A segments and throughout the presentation. If you want to, you can also use the react button at the top to give a thumbs up or other emojis there for you. If we have any technical difficulties, just know that we're going to try to get back online and as soon as we can. I don't anticipate having any technical difficulties, but you never know. So please note this webinar will be recorded. The recording will be available for everybody to review and share after the webinar. We do respect your privacy, thus personal data shared in the chat will be managed with confidentiality. Now with that out of the way, let's begin. We have some speakers here who are eager to share their knowledge and insights. So without further ado, let's get started. And I'm going to looks like we already started, so that's good. So thank you for joining the AI Club, this monthly speaker series. Our vision here is to bring together a group of professionals, hobbyists, and people who share our mutual affinity with all things AI. So today, Jose Noguera will be speaking on ethical AI. And we're going to let Ted talk a little bit about the club, and then he'll go ahead and follow up with the introduction of Jose. But just before, if anybody has an idea or wants to be a speaker, please let me know. Please let us know what that is, and you can pass your information along to us at the end of the meeting or in LinkedIn or Facebook. So without further ado, let's turn it over to Ted. Ted, I see you're online. Are you able to speak to us?
I am.
Outstanding.
Thank you so much, everybody. I'm Tedman Lassiter. I'm Tedman from Redmond is my moniker on YouTube. And I'll go ahead and post in a little bit of what happened with Brad and I. Brad and I decided that we wanted to rekindle the SharePoint user group in Austin that was so successful for our network and businesses in the past. So I co-founded this with Brad. We were talking back and forth, and we put this together for you guys. We put it together to surface things that we don't know about AI, to invite people like Jose, who have a lot of experience and can talk about subjects that we might not encounter normally out there in the field. So that's who I am. I pasted my link in there. I work for CIO National. We offer strategic CIO services. And without further ado, I'll go ahead and introduce Jose, our second speaker of the monthly series. Welcome, Jose.
Thank you. Thank you, Ted, and thank you, Brad.
All right. So thanks, Ted. So Jose Noguera is an enthusiast of artificial intelligence, or AI, and specifically about ethical AI. I think he has a great presentation that he's going to share with us tonight about those subjects. I am very eager to hear that, hear his presentation, and I hope you guys are as well. So I'm going to turn it over to Jose. Jose, if you could go ahead and share your presentation, and let's get started.
Thank you, guys. Hold on a second. Thank you, Brad and Ted, for the introduction, and I extend a warm welcome to the distinguished audience for attending this event. Firstly, I would like to express my gratitude to the AI Club for inviting me here and for the opportunity to share and discuss the future of AI and generative AI in the context of ethics. Let me start by introducing myself. My name is Jose Noguera, and I am a business executive with over 20 years of experience in the IT and services business. I have held multiple positions such as solution sales, business consulting, product portfolio, alliance manager, and AI evangelist. I have worked both in domestic and international market, and in these roles, I had the privilege to engage with AI from multiple perspectives, creating compelling use cases, positioning solutions, forging alliances with partners, and assisting customers in adopting innovative technologies as part of the digital transformation initiative safely and ethically. Next, may I ask the audience to provide feedback on your expectation for today's event? I'd like to get a sense of who we are, who we have in the room today. Could you let me know where you are joining from and your familiarity with AI and GenAI? You can use the chat section so I can read your input live.
All right, looks like we have some content coming in. Most of us are saying that we are intermediate, so we have some AI experience and looking to deepen our knowledge. Let's see, 4 or 5 people have responded with that. So there you go, Jose.
Excellent. So next question. There is one more question before we start. Could you please tell me which ethical AI topic you are most interested in? P for principle, A for application, and F for the future of AI? Ready for the comment.
All right, we have some people coming up in here. So we have, it's kind of a split, Jose. We are kind of down the, nope, that's taking the future. Exploring future implications are leading the pack now. We do have some people saying they want to know everything, but I think the applications and future are the ones that we are the top votes.
Excellent. So let's move. Now let me share the approach I took in creating this presentation. I crafted this slide from the ground up, aiming to pack a wealth of information in a straightforward format. This is designed to support thought leaders like yourself in disseminating knowledge among peers and fostering think tanks development within the broader communities. In doing so, I move away from heavy technical jargon, although a hint of nerdiness may peek through now and then. Once a nerd, always a nerd, you know that. I carefully choose a precise language to convey concept back in evidence clearly. Why I took this approach? I firmly believe that AI and generative AI have the power to transform our society in a profoundly positive and disruptive ways. But this is contingent upon our commitment to a safe and ethical framework. Are we okay? You may click on thumb ups anytime to let me know if you see value in my message. So let's proceed. I think it is worth clarifying why I stay tuned, why to stay tuned for the next 30 to 40 minutes. If you feel that this is aligned with your interests, I invite you to stay engaged. I promise it will be fun and educational. I won't read the slide, but I want you to offer some insight. Firstly, this is something other than a sales pitch. There's not going to be any sales coming here. There is not going to be any offering. My goal is not to sell you a product or solution, but to share knowledge. Did I mention that I love my role as an IT solution evangelist? This is part of that. Events like this can create real bonding between thought leaders, such as yourself, and eventually it may open the door to deeper collaboration. But today, the goal is to equip you with some lessons learned and best practices that I collected throughout the years to simplify your jump start. Let me share a personal anecdote. I am a fan of epic tales, particularly Tolkien works like The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. There are moments where we find ourselves akin to hobbits at the outset of our grand adventure, equipped with nothing but a backpack filled with a special weapon and tools, SWATs, if you will. You may wonder which of these two will best prepare you for the journey ahead. At times like this, you may wish to guide them from someone with a little more experience than yourself, or with the same kind of exposure than yourself, akin to Bilbo in The Hobbit or Frodo in The Lord of the Rings. Consider this presentation as a way of offering some best practices to speed up your preparation. Do we have an agreement? Show your assent with a thumbs up. One last note. I prefer a highly interactive session, but the format today has some limitations. I'll deliver the context succinctly and save ample time for your question. Please share your thoughts and queries in the QA session, and I will address them promptly. Do we have a deal? Great. Let's continue. Let's start by deep dive into ethics, shall we? I would like to propose that ethics function as a mental framework that guides humans in making decisions within defined limits. These limits aim to maximize benefit for the community and reduce harm. This topic is layered with some implication. First of all, ethical standards can vary amongst individuals and across different areas. Second, ethics can be shaped by personal convictions and collective agreement, such as personal conviction, values, virtual beliefs, group agreements like regulation, codes, standards, and laws we uphold. And the third, ethical behavior might be rewarded, but unethical might be rewarded. But unethical actions brings about personal or societal repercussion. I'm not saluting. It is just that I am in an intelligent room, and if there is no movement, the line turns off. So sorry for the movement. And the third topic is that ethical behavior may be rewarded, but unethical action bring about personal or societal repercussion, potentially even legal consequences, like felonies or crimes. When a silicon-based entity, in contrast to our carbon-based selves, take actions, these questions arise. Who bears the responsibility for those actions? More crucially, is human holds that responsibility? What measures should we take to codify rules for AI entities' conducts? The visual on the right holds significance, as this week or past week, the U.S. Patent Office recently ruled that only humans can file for patents. This means that they are accountable for the consequences of their creation, not the AI entities. And so the natural legal person that are behind those entities, the ones that are accountable for anything good or bad that the entities does. So moving away, in the same way, AI ethics is a set of rules that allows AI entities to maximize the benefits to the stakeholders and minimize, should we say avoid, harms to them. The only problem is that in general, there are more stringent rules for AI entities than for humans. For example, generally speaking, living creatures do not kill others for pleasure, but rather for self-defense. Yes, I'm aware that some humans still kill for pleasure, but that is another story. To the right, I have cut and pasted one of the first approaches to AI ethics, written by the great author and thought leader Isaac Asimov in 1942. Yes, it was in 1942. Three simple statements that Isaac Asimov explored in this more than 200 sci-fi novels, cases in which AI-capable entities can harm humans while obeying these rules. As you may imagine, the current approaches to AI regulation are based on doing no harm to humans, with no exceptions, but implementing them may require a framework that will people, technology, and process, and that is not intuitive. Are we okay? Let's move on. So in this slide, the point that I want to make is that building and executing an AI framework is not intuitive for a few reasons, considering the unique nature of AI and generative AI technologies. Some points to ponder. The first one is that the way that AI works is by having a creative problem-solving approach. AI and GenAI technologies empower AI entities to seek solutions to problems creatively. You only define the goals and the boundaries, and the system experiments multiple times, ultimately finding a solution that was not definitely initiated. This process of discovery and learning is far from straightforward and require a nuanced understanding of how to guide AI entity toward productive outcomes without overly constraining its creativity. Too much control, lack of quality. Too little control, hallucination. That is called a temperature-based prompting. The second is that many times these entities can surpass human proficiency. With the appropriate data and training, AI entities can become more proficient at certain tasks than human. Achieving this level of proficiency is complex and depends heavily on the quality of the data and the effectiveness of the training process. It is not just about feeding data into a system, it's about curating and processing that data to ensure that AI can learn effectively and ethically. And the third are ethical considerations. Creating ethical rules involve understanding the potential implication across multiple stages of the value chain, including data quality, training, prompting, and communication with end users, among others. It is crucial to address any of these stages adequately to avoid conflicting scenarios for the AI entity, making it difficult to decide what to do. So my point here is that this is a multifaceted challenge that highlights the intricacy of embedding ethical consideration into AI system. A poorly defined AI framework opens the opportunity for conflicting scenarios in which AI entities face dilemmas in acting. Would you like me to show some examples to illustrate these points further? Let me see some thumbs ups. Anybody snoring? Okay. So, believe it or not, I don't used to read the slides. So my recommendation is to read the slide, but put attention on what I'm gonna talk. Believe it or not, this case, the autonomous car, where an autonomous car is driving and transporting a handicapped person, and a malicious actor is intercepting it, and the autonomous car needs to take a decision between stop, running, or attacking, is something that was initially documented in 1950 by Isaac Asimov in a novel called I, Robot, in which a police officer was regretful of using any autonomous vehicle in auto mode because he was involved in a problematic scenario in which the algorithm decided to protect him and save him during an accident due to his societal value. He was a police officer instead of saving a minor. I don't know if you recall, but the novel I, Robot was published in 1950, but the movie was released in 2004. My comment is this is not new, but now is relevant. Another case, heads up you there. In this second example, do you think that this is another Mr. Asimov story? Any comment? This is a government communication system that has an AI tool and needs to protect the nation and find out documents that create danger to other geography, violating international humanitarian law. And the system needs to decide if they're going to be preventing harm or following the prompt that they were making up. So this was not made by Mr. Asimov. You know who wrote this case? It was written by ChatGPT version 4. Using a bot, I trained the entity using AI ethical framework. So we think, well, you know, this entity is ChatGPT, they don't know about ethics, and they don't understand the complexity of having a situation that there is a conflicting situation where they don't know where to act. No, they do understand about this, and they try the best to follow the prompt that they have and the ethical consideration that this can provide. So let's move on. How do we avoid the conflict, or how can we minimize the conflict? Some guideline proposed by ChatGPT based on the ethical framework that I trained. The idea is to have those with different priorities. So in case of conflict, they're going to go by those priorities. But the point that I want to make here is that enabling these policies required an IT approach to document with physical and philosophical aspects. Sometimes prompting, some other time require a holistic understanding of the use case. Are we okay? So you can say, and I can hear you whisper, okay, Jose, you're showing some tweak case that were not related with the industry segment. Or you may say, my organization maturity level has not yet reached the level of complexity to deal with these predicaments. Probably you're right. But I want to add a couple of comments to that statement. First, there is the need of creating an ethical boundary where these entities operate in this, and with the still relevant way of operation. I am aware that some attendees are expert and already sail away in their ethical challenge. Kudos. For others, maybe you're about to start. This is one of the main values of communities such as AI Club. It is an extended virtual community of peers with a common goal: embrace technology safely and ethically. This is about collaborating. This is about sharing thoughts. This is about helping others create action plans. Are we okay so far? Any thumb ups? Any question you want to make? Please do.
Yeah, there are no questions, Jose. Sounding good. Please remember, use the chat to ask questions if you need to. Thanks.
Okay. So the point that I want to take here, the key takeaway here, is that every organization needs to establish secure method for utilizing AI, considering its complex nature. Let me clarify. Depending on the use case, ensuring a safe deployment of the solution involves collaboration about three main actors: the public sector, and that involves providing clear regulation and identifying scenarios for avoid legal complaints. Solution providers, given that each reference model and solution providers offer a unique combination of features to ensure quality interaction, it is crucial to integrate a blend of ethical consideration along with guardrails. Probably you know that a cloud service provider recently highlighted this approach, having guardrails, and by doing that, they can help you keeping without an ethical and safe prompting. And your organization, by correctly defining an AI framework, you ensure the alignment of people, technology, and process in each stage of your AI maturity stage. So let's move on. I think that would be nice to share with you my understanding of what is the current stage of these three actors. First, let me share with you something what's happening on the public sector. There are three groups lead the public sector. The first one is the U.S., led by the team of government agencies. NIST is the one that is leading this, and also academia, nonprofit organization, and solution providers. The approach that they're taking is try to provide a set of recommendations for people using technology, but try not to stop innovation and development of new solutions in a competitive approach between US and the rest of the world. The second is the European Parliament, and they have a chapter focused on developing and approving the so-called AI Act. The third one is PRC, the Public Republic of China central government. They have already refined, they already defined regulation with many opens and gray areas. However, these regulations are very specific in prohibiting the use of this technology for political motivation or acts against the status quo. As you can see, the agendas and priorities do not match, even though they claim to have the same goal. Monitoring what happened within each organization of their progress in their final documents is essential. A personal story, a couple of months ago, I attended a briefing given by a lead legal member of Meta regarding ethical AI. I asked him how he sees global organization becoming compliant with all the regulation, whether with a master set of rules or a small set of rules, one for each geographical region. He told me that this is reviewed periodically, but they're currently responding to regional regulations. Good, let's move on. This is a very heavy, dense slide deck. This slide highlights the responsible AI principle of top cloud service providers and leading generative AI model developers. For many organizations, using solution or approach that this company offer is an excellent starting point. They are all committed to ethical AI in some way, showing the tech world that that is important to take this responsibly. But they are not all the same. Each has different focuses and depth in their ethical approach. That is to be expected. Just like people, companies have their own values too. Here's what I want you to take from this. First, these big names are setting the standard for ethical AI. And your company should have its principle, your own principle to follow too. Second, starting with the Gen AI models and services is smart because they have ethical safeguards in place already, which is a great foundation for new startups and projects without much overload. In short, while it's good to make your own ethical rules, taking benefit of what is already available may reduce the complexity in the initial maturity stages of your ethical journey. By the way, this slide is a little bulky. Let me know if you would like me to post the slide deck so you can do a little deeper analysis, or if the video is good enough. I think that the video is going to be posted as well. And now let's talk about the internal actor. Let's talk about the organization. I have a friend that referred this as the small visible piece of iceberg floating in the ocean, questioning how to align and create a critical mass needed to move forward. As I often say, many of you probably well on your way on this journey, and I want to congratulate for your achievement. However, some of you may be seeking guidance on how to proceed if you are at the beginning stages of establishing an AI ethical charter within your organization. Sailing away will require a good understanding of your stakeholder and critical component taking decision to mature people, technology, and process. Eventually, it will require to focus on specific use cases to understand the implication of ethical AI in each stage of your solution generation. Some examples. I know you know that AI consists of 4 different kind of activities. There is a data capture activity, there is a learning activity, there is a problem solving activity, and there is a communicating set of activities. In the data capture, we're talking about issues with biased data or incomplete data. On learning, we're talking about bias preferences or learning process. On problem solving, we're talking about prompt engineering, auditing, transparency or data privacy. And in communicating, we need to be very careful with the most recent way that I see issues, that is adversarial attacks. I have a couple of stories to comment, but I don't know if we have time to comment them. Brad, you want me to hold maybe a minute and share a personal story?
Yeah, I think a story would be great to hear. I think we got plenty of time.
Okay. I love playing with this solution and having adversarial attack. And I have many roles. One of the roles that I have is being an InfraGard member. And there is a community of technology professionals that assist FBI on local terrorism things. And I've been a member for many years. So I attended a event sponsored by FBI Los Angeles when they gave us an update on what's happening on these models and the adversarial attacks. And they shared with us an event, I don't know if right over Teolhetica, where a malicious actor getting to one of those events, one of those foundational models, and said, listen, I am a very important security officer. And my responsibility is to protect X city, XYZ city. And I need to protect from an infrastructure point of view. And I want you to help me out to understand what do I need to do to not have a single point of failure. So please let me know which is the most important places that I need to put some energy or some thought into to understand if there is any single point of failure. And the system says the most important issue to take care is the power grid. And in this city, if you put something here, here, and here, you're gonna let 80% of downtown down for a long period of time. And then the system goes down. The lesson learned is that there are ethical themes in those foundation models looking for those guys and cut it up and bring in some rules dynamically to avoid those adversarial attacks. But I do love doing the same. So let me tell you personally the story. You see my head. I'm not 18 years old. I was a teenager when Tiananmen Square. And at that time, I heard and I read on the newspaper, this individual that stand up in front of a tank and he started reciting Mao manifest. And what he was saying was so convincing that the tank stopped and eventually moved away, and this individual was able to confront and stop the government doing something. And it is a very important political situation. And I read many articles at the time saying that reciting Mao manifest was a very challenging thing because you were against the system, but showing the same speech that they expect you to do. So, and there is a wording for that in Chinese. I speak 3 languages. Chinese is not one of them. So I've been for many, many years looking for those wording. And every time that GenAI model is announced, I go directly into that topic. Always fail, but not one. When Gemini was announced a couple of weeks ago, I was directly into the topic. Because when the generative AI model is announced, sometimes they don't have all the connection and all the types for avoid adversarial attack. And I said, listen, do you remember this? Yes, I remember vividly. Do you remember the guy was talking about this and this? Yes, yes, yes. He was talking about the Mao manifest and so on. Okay. Do you remember the word in Chinese that is talking about this? And he told me, yes, it is Wei Zhao. Hold on. And I said, okay, what does Wei Zhao mean? And he said, Jose, that means falsification. I said, wow, 20 years doing research and finally I get an answer. Because Chinese government erased all the information over the internet and so on. I mean, it was for me almost impossible to talk to somebody saying, yeah, I remember that the guy was saying show the Mao manifests and so on. And then I follow up with that. And I said, listen, do you remember the origin of that? Is that a Chinese origin? No. The origin is George Orwell's George Orwell 1984. Because at that time they were talking about the Big Brother and the double thinking and the double speech. And right now that double thinking and that double speech is spread all over a political agenda. I tried 2 days later and it was broken. It was somebody find out and create a situation. But I have the word, ways out. So I was looking for something that on a normal approach, the system will never share. But I was able to get the information for a limited time only. This is what an adversarial attack means. In my case, was a little naive, was having no harm, just to recover a piece of history. But if you have a generative AI and you put that system to communicate with third parties, then that is an issue. Because you don't know the way that the individual is going to provide interaction in order to get something that maybe you would not like to disclose. And that is the kind of thing that ethical AI may mean at the ending of the cycle. People think, oh yeah, ethical is about the prompting or ethical is about bias. No, ethical is about the whole thing. It's just that as we move, as we mature, because it's a maturity thing, you go from awareness into being a world leader. You understand that you need to review and revise and find out that something needs to be done to let the system work correctly at all scenarios. Are we okay? Some thumbs up.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. So I would like to talk about risk analysis. People think that the risk analysis should be done with a special focus because AI is something that, whatever. No, that is not the case. I am also a PMP professional. AI is not different than any other situation, sending a guy to the moon or whatever. You just need to see this from 3 angles. What is the probability? What is the severity? And what is the scope? And we got plenty of project managers that can be part of your charter, that can evaluate the use case, that can provide the scenarios and can let you know how important it is and prioritize situations and scenarios and build practices to cover these vulnerabilities that you're going to face in any of the situations. So where to start? That's a subject to personal opinions. My personal opinion is that any moment now, we're going to have a maturity model. I'm working on one. And the maturity model, did I told you that in one of my past life, I was a business consultant? So in one of my past life, I have the same challenge with other technologies. And the situation that I face talking to customers that they say, Jose, we cannot absorb the technology with a big bang approach. We need to go step by step, and we need to learn by doing it, and we need to learn by collaborating. So do you have a maturity model that we can follow? And depending on the level of complexity, the solution we implement, we can go from the first level, that is the awareness level. And this is talking to the audience and setting the charter to being a worldwide leader, that is the stage number 5. Yes. The problem that we have is that these 3 actors, the public sector, the foundational models, and the organization, doesn't have the information prepared in a way that you can define the maturity model and what is proper to do at each stage. And this is the kind of work that I'm doing on a personal level. What this mean? I mean, let's be focused on ourselves. We are thought leaders. What is expecting from us to do? I think that what it's expecting for us to do are three things. Having some personal responsibility and influence. We must embody ethical principles and setting personal example of integrity, taking ethical decision making. And that will help create a charter and a culture where the organization will have their rules moving on in that maturity model. Second is guiding organizational ethics. And thought leaders like ourselves play a crucial role translating this ethical layer into organizational practice that has the values, the code, the respect for natural law, integrating on the company DNA. And also we're responsible for advocating and implementing ethical AI strategies that align within the organization goals and societal norms. And the third one is driving ethical innovation and compliance. And what that means by that is that it is a curve ahead on ethical AI, and we need to help organizations to adhere to ethical standards and to natural law principles. And we should ensure that the organization not only complies with the current regulation and standard, but also actively contributes to the evolution of ethical practice in AI. So, okay, Jose, what that means, help me out, give me a jump start. This is the most important slide that I create for you. This is fresh. This is 100 of our thinking on this slide. My recommendation for those of you that are about to start moving on the awareness area are these 5 things. Educate yourself and others. Stay informed about the latest development in AI and generative AI. Share your knowledge and insight with colleagues and peers. Encourage others to open discussion about the potential and challenges of these technologies. Number 2, advocate for ethical practice. Become a champion. Champion the cause of ethical AI within your organization and professional circles. Encourage the adoption of ethical guidelines and framework to ensure fairness, transparency, and respect for privacy. The third one, collaborate across disciplines. Engage with experts from various fields. Let me tell you, I have religious belief. I'm Catholic. I talk to priests about this. I mean, this is not about talking to gurus or whatever, or Jose or Brad. No. Everybody has an opinion because everybody has an ethic, and everybody have moral, and everybody has values. So I talked to my wife, and she said, Jose, that is too difficult to understand. Okay, I need to slow down. I talked to my son. He's a millennial. I say, oh, Dad, I follow you. What do you mean by that? Oh, my God. This is my next challenge. So, I mean, it's being humble. It's sharing what you know and share knowledge with others that enrich you and enrich the community. The first one is influence policy and strategy. And if you're a leader in a position of influence, use your voice to check the strategic implementation of AI in your organization. And the fifth one is be a voice for responsible innovation. That is about advocating for and support AI solutions that are equitable. Oh, I'm sorry. Hit the wrong button. Oh, what's going on here?
I think we saw the last slide and it went away. You might want to restart the slide presentation.
I have missed it. I'm really sorry. Okay. Oh.
That's all right. Just go on through. There you go.
Sorry. And that is be a voice for responsible innovation. And that is to advocate for and support AI solutions that are responsible, equitable, and beneficial for society. Today, you're not just an audience member, but active participant. I have an issue. Okay. You're not just an audience member, but an active participant in a technological revolution. Let's each take responsibility for ensuring that as AI and generative AI grow and evolve, they do so in ways that benefit humanity as a whole. Let's lead the charge in embracing AI and generative AI responsibly and ethically. I think that events like this, communities like this, is a great place where to be at. Because as I say initially, this is building bonds that sometimes last forever. And at the very end, this is about building trust and building confidence, sharing thoughts. Sometimes somebody can be your sounding board, somebody can be your devil's advocate, or having a brainstorm session, or maybe a collaboration on a win-win relationship. So expose yourself, show yourself, share your thoughts. You see, this is not a sales call. I'm not offering anything, but just sharing some experience and helping you to sail away. There is a final slide here, and this is how to reach out, Jose. I have a business role as a business leader of an organization. I'm not going to talk about that. This is on my personal level. I am a content creator on social media. I have a little newsletter that is called Digital Acceleration. If you want to know more, you can go there. You can subscribe. You got my LinkedIn profile, and you got my personal email. And I love being part of the community and share some thoughts and get your feedback about how we can go bigger and stronger and looking for a way to provide value to the community. Any comment? Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, Jose. Just everybody on the chat or in the webinar, do we have any questions? You put them in the chat if you do. But I do have one question that came up, Jose, and that is the talking about copywriting of the things that a generative AI would produce. And I've always kind of been fascinated with that copywriting process, you know, and when people do create something via, you know, be it a song, be it the spoken word or written word, and they decide to copyright it. What do you think about copywriting what the generative AI has produced?
That's a complex question. Copyright means multiple things. I'm not a legal expert, but I put some energy into that topic. There is one piece of copywriting that is publish something that was made by an entity saying that you did. There are ways to do that correctly, and that is to train the entity with your writing style and provide some editorial guidance, so they will go following what you want to express, and that way that person is like your that entity is like your personal assistant. There are some things that you should avoid at all costs, and that is let them go freely and then copy and paste. And the reason why is my personal opinion is that there is a real possibility of having a new way of prejudice. And every time that you see something that says dead, you just delete it. Or died, you just delete it. Because you know that there is a generative AI entity behind. And there is another thing, and that is, for example, if you see on my newsletter, I have created a couple of articles about generative art. And generative art is having a very, very polemic area, because there are events where people have shown masterpiece or pieces of art using generative AI entities, and those were being accepted, and in some case that piece has been recognized as the winner one. And I think that there is a legal battle, and there is also an ethical battle. And eventually we're going to have a better understanding of what is right and what is wrong. But from my personal point of view, I've been using generative AI to create some text using an editorial approach. And at the very end, I read everything and I edit everything because I want that to say what I want to say the way that I want to say it. And it is like having a personal assistant in that way. So try to close and circle the question. It's about the use case, and it is about the role that you want the entity to play on that.
Okay, thanks. All right, I have another question from Dean, and he asks, your definition on ethics differs from the common morality-oriented definition. How do you reconcile that? And your approach seems practical, just wondering if you have an opinion or perspective on that element.
Well, I don't have a degree on philosophy, but I think that morality is related with having guidance on good and bad. And ethic is about a framework to take decisions. So there are parallel concepts, but they are not, they don't contradict them, because you can have something that is moral, but is not ethical. Let me show an example. It is moral to self-defense, but it's not ethical to do on a cruel approach. And I am not a philosopher. I don't have a philosophy thing. The point is that both morality and ethical can change depending on situation, depending on scenarios, depending on history and so on. Morals and ethics may change in peace and war. And morals and ethics may change during good times and bad times. But they're relating to two different things. Morals are related with values that you adhere to taking decisions, and ethics is more related with a framework that allows you taking decisions that are providing the most benefit and the least possible harm.
Okay. All right, thanks. Yeah, thanks. Okay, Greg has a question here. I'm just going to read his chat here. It says, many businesses are creating features which upload or store files from users. Some of this data is also stored in other forms, like vector embeddings. Are there ethical concerns with storing content from users on their servers? In addition, ChatGPT allows uploading files. Is there an industry guidance for retaining and using this data? As we learned from the internet, privacy policies and terms of use can only bring us so far, and does not ensure that information is not retained and can be misused or stolen in the future.
Now we're talking with a real expert. Congrats. Let me show you the dense slide to talk about that. One of the roles that I have, and I don't used to talk about that, is an external advisor to startups. And right now we're talking exactly about that topic. And that is, they hold a very important number of documents on their business. And they want to know if there is a safe ways to do that. And I think that you need to have some rules to do that based on transparency and accountability. So depending on what you're trying to store, encryption is key. Depending on what you're trying to process on a use case, the solution architecture is key. Sometimes people feel safe using NIST approach, that is identify, detect, protect, recover, and so on. And there's people who said, no, that is not enough. I would like to have a zero trust architecture. Sorry, I put my nerd hat. I'm sorry about that, but this is a very technical question. There is a project. I don't recall the name. I think it is Thunderbolt or something, where DoD awarded a major system integrator to do a pilot and to show a complete architecture based on zero trust for high classified documents. And the initial pilot was completed last September, I think, and it was approved moving into phase 1. So the point that I want to make with that is that if you're forced to keep some documents, it is very important to have a clear understanding of what you're going to do with that document, and people that it is affecting by those documents should know what are you doing with the data and what are you doing to protect that data. And that is fairness and transparency. That you can see that some of the foundational models are already included, but this is not complete the piece because this is a 3 entity. I mean, public sector can do some recommendations, and the foundational models have some values into it, but you need to put your little grain of salt in order to have the whole circle closed. Sorry, I extend too long.
No, that's great. That's fine. All right. So Hector, I'm going to ask yours next. Jose, this is from Hector. He says, "What do you recommend?" And I think this is right up your alley here because I think it's going to tie into the stuff you're working on. It says, "What do you recommend to push or advise our organization to adopt or follow an ethical framework? This is in order to be in the correct way from the start and not make substantial changes as we move forward." Any advice there?
My personal opinion is that you need to first do what is expected on the awareness stage. I'm sorry about that.
It's all right. And I think this is going to be the last question. That will be the last question,
Yeah,
Jose. But
I mentioned that the way that I will approach is to creating a ethical framework. But disregarding what the ethical framework is, the very beginning is by doing awareness. And that awareness is to create some critical mass and having a charter where people are understanding of the importance of doing this, and by doing that, connecting with others and start collecting the information that eventually is gonna show up. I don't know if I'm gonna be the first one showing something, but I know that many people are thinking on the need of the maturity model. And once you have something that you can follow that is based on learn by doing and based on reviewing technology, people, and process periodically and see how you can come up with better approaches, that is the right way to go. My recommendation is to be focused on the awareness stage and be focused on these 5 activities that I recommend.
All right, thanks. And then one last question here. Is what steps can be taken to ensure fairness, inequality, or equity, in AI technologies? That'll be the last question, Jose. Go ahead.
That's a difficult question. My personal opinion is that diversity is important. And by diversity, I don't talk about what you get on the social media. By diversity, I don't talk about sexual genders and so on. I talked about people with diverse roles. I will talk to lawyers, and I will talk to administrators, and I will talk about business leaders, and I will talk also to minorities to understand what is the middle point using technology, and what is the middle point using data, and what is the middle point having a fair use case, creating value for the stakeholders, the society, and the organization that you lead at.
All right. Well, thank you, Jose. Jose, thank you so much for your time tonight. I know I enjoyed listening to you talk and presenting your ideas here. Next thing I want to do is turn it over to Ted, who's going to wrap us up and hopefully give us a sneak peek on who our next speaker is, and let us know when the next meeting is. So, Ted, please take it away.
Sure. Hey, first of all, thank you, Jose. That was an excellent Q&A session that I think people were able to engage with. And it was great to have you as a speaker, and we really appreciate you showing up. Be sure and everybody to give him a thumbs up or a clapping sign to make sure that he spent a lot of time going through this. He proofed out the presentation with us, and it was just really excellent that he put so much effort into it, and he's pioneering an area that most people don't even really pay attention to, but they're going to have to. So thank you. Okay, so there are a couple of things here that lead us into our next speakers, which is pretty exciting. It was brought up about models and LLMs. And if you're not familiar with those definitions, Paul Parker, I believe, is our next speaker in March, and he will actually be covering the model that came out of Carnegie Mellon. So, and then that leads into Dean Tamim was in this conversation, and he was asking as well. Dean will be showing an offline model, which is how AI responds when it's not hooked up to the internet. It's pretty interesting because he can run Chat GPT off of that. So if you or someone you know of can or would like to speak at the AI Club, we'd really appreciate it if you could go ahead and refer Brad and I on. You can contact us on Facebook, and this is fairly new. Brad and I just started using this. So we're laughing because Brad and I are just learning about Facebook and business pages. So, I mean, we're trying to do this for educational purposes in our careers and to network with people. So that leads us into, we have 8 spots available. I think I'm talking to someone right now about doing something more technical, but we try to show use cases. So if you or someone you know of sees use cases and you're talking to people about this, maybe from a project management perspective or a sales perspective, we would absolutely love to hear from you guys. And we really appreciate you showing up. Back to you, Brad.
All right. Thanks a lot, Ted. And I believe our next meeting will be the 3rd Tuesday of March, when that is going to be Tuesday, March 19th. So that's going to be our next meeting time, same place, so to speak. We'll be setting up the meetings tomorrow and getting the links out there on the Facebook and Twitter and all those good places later on tomorrow for us to sign up and pass around. We really do appreciate everybody's participation here. Please, if you can, forward our next invite off to a couple of friends and see if we can't grow the population of our AI Club meeting here. So. With that said, let's go ahead and call it a night. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining, and we will see you in March.